In 2011, I had my millennial moment. Let me warn you for a moment. If you ever see anyone that comprises all the cliches that you've ever read or heard about a millennial person in business, that's me, right here. So I was living in New York City, and I had a great job in the city of New York, the office of the mayor for management and budget. I had just finished my master's degree in public administration and public policy, so it was the dream. Only that I was miserable. I literally felt like a cow walking to work every day. Everything in my life was absolutely gray. The office, the cubicle, the desk, my coworkers, my boss was absolutely gray. And I kept asking myself, how did I end up here? I'm Colombian. Everything in my life is like color and music and fun. But I was in the grayest life of all. My biggest wake-up call came one day when we had to go to one of the conference rooms to celebrate the retirement of one of the obviously oldest ladies there. She had done the exact same job I was doing for 30 years. And everybody was just clapping and giving her cake, and I was just like hyperventilating, and I was having like a panic attack. I didn't even know what that was like. I never felt that way. But what it made me realize is that that life that I was looking there in that person, and even though it worked for her, it was a life so far away than the life I had set out to live when I left my home in Barranquilla so many years ago full of dreams. Most importantly, I was living a life that was way below than the one I knew I was capable of living. Where did I get all these ideas? Well, my parents. They said I could achieve great things. They said I could change the world, and I wasn't living it. At that moment in my life, in the middle of all that conflict, I received the best piece of advice I ever received, which is, success leaves clues. Follow your interests and follow your best talents. Because we get so obsessed right now, especially millennials, in trying to find our life's purpose and our meaning. And that is so unreal. How do we approach it in a more realistic way? Okay, what were my interests? I wanted to travel. I wanted freedom. I wanted money. Why not? I wanted pretty heels. I wanted dresses. I wanted to go to parties. Hey, I never said I was like the sharpest person. I was 28 years old in New York. I had all these ambitions. I also wanted to work with people. I wanted to work with very interesting people and learn from them. I was living none of that. Part one. Part two, out of that advice, what were my biggest talents? What were the best talents? And that person said to me, remember that passion, and all this talk about passion. Passion is not about that initial burst of energy when you start something. No. Passion is what carries you throughout time. Because when you do something that you're really good at, then you feel passion. And I had never heard such profound but simple pieces of advice. So I said, okay, I combined these two things, my interest and my best talents, and I decided to leave my career in public service. Up to this day, I get called crazy because it was, about 6 or 7 years of my life, an undergrad, a very expensive master's degree. I left that master's degree with a student debt of $80,000. But hey, I was here casually saying, I'm going to change the world. So if I was going to do it, I had to do it big. I had to make it work because my life literally depended on it. So, because I had no business experience and I obviously knew I had to go into business, I started applying to a million jobs. I sent about, let's say, 50 resumes using my transferable skills. I'm good with people and all that stuff. I got about 4 job interviews and 1 job offer, which was a private jet charter firm. They were expanding and they needed salespeople on commission only. They literally gave you a computer, a script, and a list of clients, and fend for yourself. That was wonderful. That was exactly what I needed. I always think it's so funny that I started with 5 other guys, and they all were coming from Wall Street. I was coming from government. And after the second week at that job, they all had quit. They could not stand. And I had closed 3 amazing deals. I was obsessed. I was hooked. Why? My ambition for money, as I described and confessed. On my first commission, I made $5,000, and my salary at the government job was $3,000 a month. I was like, are you kidding me? There is no limit. There's so much that I can do here. But I also knew that I had to be excellent. I also knew that I had to become the person that can serve this kind of audience. As you can imagine, a person that charters a private jet is not even the 1%, it's the 0.1% type of person in the world of income. And at that moment, I don't know how, but I had the vision to see that I had to increase my skills and I had to become a person of excellence to be able to serve this kind of audience. And I continued there. The number one reason now, looking in retrospect, as to why I wanted to leave that job in government is because the number one reason why I went into government anyway is because I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to feel like a wave that can touch other waves in the world because of connectivity and because of the internet, and my knowledge of how the world was working and seeing the suffering in the world and seeing the problems of the world, I no longer felt ignorant, or I no longer felt numb like at some point my parents felt. I knew I was going out there, and I knew that I had enough talent to make an impact. But I wasn't living in that way, so I set out on my own path. So this is one of my favorite things about being a millennial and about working with millennials. We have this obsession with having an impact in others. When I started studying more about millennials and I started getting invitations to speak, I discovered that we are criticized a lot, and there's a lot of criticism for millennials. For example, they call us selfish, they call us self-centered, they call us impatient. They say that we have no emotional intelligence. At the beginning, when I started researching more and finding out about all these criticisms against me, against my type, with all these words, I was very, very angry because what I saw in the world with my colleagues and my friends and people that I admired is people taking huge risks to really disrupt whole industries and to really have an impact. And they were doing amazing, incredible things. It was very different than the life I was living, including myself. I was working 12, 14-hour days trying to get a private jet company out of the ground, and it didn't resonate with the reality of what it's like to be a millennial in business. But then I said, you know what? They are right. They are right, because they call us selfish because we also want to have a great lifestyle. Well, my dad had the same job for 30 years, and when he retired, he wasn't any happier than I am. So yeah, I'll be a little selfish, and I'll also take care of my lifestyle. Number two, they call us impatient. Hell yeah, I'll be impatient with these boring jobs. I'll be impatient with these jobs that waste my talent, with these bosses that don't understand where the world is going. I'll absolutely be impatient with that. And also, we have no emotional intelligence. Well, they might have a point there. But we have the capacity to learn over time. What I learned is that we were being judged unfairly, but we were only being criticized, but not also being celebrated for the amazing things that we are doing. So that's why I think we are ideal for the global economy. I think it's the best time to be alive. It's the absolutely best time to be in business, and I'm going to show you several reasons why. We are eager to learn. I remember, sorry to put my dad as an example again, I admire him and love him to death, but my dad had one skill. He worked in a mining company as a supervisor, and he was a fantastic and very responsible person, and he gave us a wonderful life. But that was the only thing he knew how to do, and he never told me, I want to learn something else, or never expressed a desire to learn anything else. Here I am, having these degrees in public administration, in government, and then I wanted to learn business, and then I wanted to learn sales and public speaking, and now I learned a million other things like coaching and leadership, etc. That's amazing, and we are all like that. You guys are here studying, but I'm pretty sure when you go at night at home, you also learn about a million other things, and that is a huge advantage, because everything you need to learn to be successful in anything you want is available at your fingertips for free or at very low cost. We are self-taught. Being connected, and we get so criticized for being addicted to our phones and the access to the internet, but I think it's a huge advantage because it's our window to the world. We're being educated, we're way more knowledgeable than baby boomers, and we also know what's going on out there. We are digital natives, and this word, digital natives, is fantastic because it sounds like we should know a little more than the baby boomers, but I read a statistic that said that even though 77% of millennials are extremely proficient and almost addicted to phones, what is the percentage for baby boomers? 60%. And I see that every day. My parents are on Facebook every freaking day. And I use it for work. I'm trying to make money. They're just there passing their retirement years. So the gap is not that big as people think. We create our own path, and this one I love because in my personal experience, because of when I entered the workforce, it was, the U.S. was coming out of the recession, and we're also the generation that enters the workforce with the highest level of student debt. I simply could not afford to keep in that path. There was no way I was going to be able to pay $80,000 on a $3,000 salary. I had to create a path that allowed me to enjoy life, and I had some kind of mental clarity. So sometimes it's not that we're so risk takers and originals. Sometimes we have to, for our own survival, we have to make up companies, we have to invent businesses and ventures and become freelancers. Our sanity comes first. I love this one because now I'm pregnant, 4 months pregnant, and I'm already shifting and changing how I conduct my company so that I have at least 3-4 months off. I mean, what a privilege and what a crazy time to be able to do that, to put systems in place and help in place, and automatization and marketing and etc., so that I can afford to say, oh, guess what, I'll take 4 months off, and I'm very, very thankful for that because I've been warned of how difficult it's going to be, and I simply cannot have that life of working at the many hours I do right now and also give my child proper care. We build communities. It's one of my absolute favorite things. We now all care deeply about stuff, either green juicing or yoga or traveling or anything is that we all have a label, and that's fascinating because we now each have like a tribe of people. And some people get bothered by people posting pictures about working out or pictures about traveling, but in the end, we all are little by little joining on communities and having these conversations that many of these gentlemen have been talking before. And I absolutely love that because it's true that what brought us to this point in history is not the same things we need to move forward. The things that brought us here, yes, gave us a lot of innovation and advancement, but it also brought a lot of inequality and a lot of injustices, and it also brought a lot of ignorance and polarization. And we know that what we need forward is collective intelligence and sharing and communities and cooperation, and I believe millennials, we understand that. We help and contribute now. I also love this about millennials because right now we're running businesses, but we are trying to help or use our voices for causes that we care about now. We're trying to share our profits now. We're even starting social ventures now. The example I have, for example, in my parents, in my family, and the baby boomers, sometimes they get involved in amazing causes, well, when they're retired already or when they have the money. And that's like a dream. Once I retire, then I'll go volunteer in Africa. Well, we're doing it now because we're impatient and we want to do it exactly now. And I love that. We work for bigger causes. We actively create solutions. I believe all millennials, regardless if they're in business or not, we're extremely entrepreneurial because I love hearing conversations of people. They see a problem and they already are thinking of solutions. They're like, there should be an app for that, or there should be a delivery service for that, or I think I can have a solution for that, and I love that. We travel and understand more. You know, this constant desire we have for travel and this addiction we have to always being somewhere has helped us a lot. It has removed a lot of ignorance and barriers. I always love this story. I was fortunate to go to an American school all my life in Colombia since I was 6 years old. So let's say I always had English education from very early age. When I moved to the US and I started working there and I started dating my now husband, he's American, a lot of people in our lives kept telling me, wow, you learned English very quickly. Like they really thought I started learning English when I met him like 6 months ago. And you know, that's the result of maybe not, if you've traveled more and you go to Latin America, you realize a lot of people speak English there. You know, I'm not reinventing the wheel here by already speaking English. So my answer would be like, yeah, it took me about 29 years to learn this level of English. We take huge risks. I experience this in my life every day. As you can imagine, the transactions that I'm faced with, when they go great, but when things go wrong, they can go wrong in a huge way too. And somehow we have developed a muscle for this. And because we take huge risks, we're open to failure, which I believe is the biggest reason why my father and some of his friends and colleagues never did anything else, because they were just so scared of failure because they see failure as an end of the road. I literally fail almost every day trying to come up with new solutions, trying to come up with new products and services for my clients, and it simply is information for me to adjust my way. I have never ever let a failure stop us or stop our company. Well, we're still in business, but I guarantee you that to be able to have, like the video was saying, one brilliant sales idea, you failed in about 10 or 15, and it's just their reality if you want to be creative. We are starting bigger businesses. What do I mean by this? Because of the power of the internet and because of the power of connectivity, is our case. We are a two-people company, my husband and I, with a range of part-time supporters, but mainly we are two people. In our first year in business, we sold $1 million. And in our second year in business, we sold $2 million. Can you believe that for a two-people company? That's insane. I'm like, how can we replicate or make this even bigger or teach others how to do this? And if you see the numbers over time as well, in business creation in the last 100 years, the businesses millennials are creating because we are digital natives are simply impacting thousands more people, and the numbers are there. And also, we start businesses earlier. The average age for a millennial to start a business is 27 years old. Baby boomers, it was 36 or 37. So I love this part because right now, being able to see a 22-year-old CEO or a 30-year-old amazing founder, or being able to sit with a client that's maybe 50 or 60 years old, and you, me, at 34 years old, being able and having the authority and knowledge, and them believing it, and them buying from me, it's a remarkable thing. Those barriers are really removing it, because if we believe in the value we're providing, it doesn't matter the company, it doesn't matter the age. In my company, that happens a lot. I, every day, wake up saying, how can I better serve my clients? How can I give them more value every day? And my clients know that I care the most about them than anybody in the world. And sometimes my clients say that they get calls from CEOs of major private jet companies telling them, we know you're flying with that little company that's just 2 people. What can we do to bring you on board? And my clients tell me this over the phone, like, hey, I've been pitched today. And I know the only reason that what works is because my client knows my care for them. My client sees my results, and my client knows what I do for them. And I wouldn't be able to do that unless I was this impatient, ambitious millennial. I want to briefly mention 2 companies that I deeply admire because they changed the conversation in 2 huge industries. And I want to invite you to Google about them later. Number 1 is called Thinks. It's a company of an American woman that tackled an industry that was ignored for such a long time, even though it's a crucial part of nature. She tackled the feminine hygiene industry. She was very bothered that this industry was not, there was no innovation in this industry for the last 100 years. Literally, think about it. It's always the same types of products, even though it's half or more of the population that we use them every month. It's a topic that makes people very uncomfortable, and she didn't understand why. In one of her trips to Africa, she discovered that in many, many villages, teenage girls miss 1 week of school per month, every month, because they don't have any type of personal hygiene or products for their period. They're falling behind because this is about 12 weeks a year, and there was no system to bring them forward. She was extremely bothered by it. She's like, how do I solve this problem and make money on the way? She went back to the US and developed a range of products that you will learn about when you visit her site. So now she has a hundreds of millions of dollar company that American and European women are buying, and at the same time she's shipping every month these boxes of these products to villages all over Africa, and now girls don't miss school anymore. I mean, what a fantastic idea. I deeply admire it. The Honest Company was started by a mother, a celebrity mother. She had a baby and noticed that every single product was full of chemicals. She went to the supermarket and could not find a baby wash or baby shampoo or even a cloth that was clean and had no chemicals. So she said, okay, I'll develop a couple of products, and she faced the opposition, as you can imagine, by the giants of baby products and cleaning products, etc. Today, the Honest Company is a $1 billion company because she educated the mothers. She educated a whole generation of mostly millennial mothers that are now understanding that we are getting ourselves sick with these products that are very contaminated and also affecting the environment. So, my first company is not changing the world in any way. However, I'm very proud of it because it fulfilled all my dreams, and it gives me great pleasure to know that we get to sell an amazing service like this, and we run it from our living room. But this is my social impact company that I'm very, very proud of. Because of my private jet company, I started receiving invitations to speak all over Latin America, where I'm from, because people found interesting that someone, a simple person from a simple city, from a simple country, how on earth do you go from that to running this kind of crazy, extraordinary company? And people found that interesting, and I felt flattered, and I wanted to share this experience. Why? Because I noticed a huge gap in the success and business market. Everybody wanted to hear the success and how did you get there and the results. But who is talking about the process? Who is talking about the crazy mental anxieties I had to go through and overcome? Who is talking about the risks we have to overcome? Who is talking about getting to know ourselves and getting absolute clarity? Who's talking about the process? Why is this important for me? And that's what we teach in the Club de Influencia to Spanish speakers only. There was a huge gap of information, and I believe that there is a huge number of young people coming now into the workforce or the entrepreneurial world in Latin America that don't speak English but don't have access to amazing top prime information so that they can also launch their own companies. So I'm extremely passionate about this, and we are launching with 1,000 members from all over Latin America with fantastic ideas, and they're just going to fill the gaps of information, and we're bringing on amazing experts from all over the world to teach them. Is the perfect time for millennials? Decide what you want, start before you're ready, and learn along the way. Build, contribute, and change the world, because The world doesn't change when everybody wants to change it, but only when a few or a very small group of committed citizens want to change it. Thank you very much.